Edge security beyond firewalls. The traditional network perimeter defended by firewalls has become obsolete in today's cloud-first remote work environment, forcing organizations to rethink their security architecture fundamentally. As reported by Cisco and industry experts, the evolution from single firewall appliances to distributed firewalling strategies reflects a broader shift toward identity-centric, zero-trust models that can protect assets wherever they reside across a hybrid cloud. Thank you for tuning into your SASE Gateway YouTube channel. Subscribe if you want more straightforward content like this about SASE and cybersecurity topics. Zero Trust Architecture Implementation. Implementing a zero-trust architecture within SASE environments requires a systematic, phased approach that transforms traditional security models without disrupting operational continuity. The implementation begins with comprehensive asset discovery and risk assessment, mapping all users, devices, applications, and data flows to establish a foundation for granular access policies. Organizations typically start with the most critical assets and expand coverage incrementally, allowing security teams to manage complexity while demonstrating early value. Technical implementation follows a structured progression across multiple phases. Phase 1 focused on establishing baseline protections through global DNS filtering, email security gateways, and cloud access security brokers to identify misconfigurations in SaaS environments. Phase 2 introduces corporate identity systems with multi-factor authentication enforcement, SSL, TLS decryption capabilities, and zero trust reverse proxies for publicly accessible applications. Phase 3 expands to comprehensive application inventory, network segmentation, and mobile device management, whereas Phase 4 implements advanced endpoint protection, security operations centers, and hardware-based authentication tokens. Establishing robust monitoring and analytics capabilities that enable continuous policy refinement is critical for successful deployment. Organizations must implement security information and event management (SIEM) solutions, along with intrusion detection systems to correlate data across users, devices, applications, and network traffic. This telemetry-driven approach enables security teams to identify coverage gaps, validate the effectiveness of controls, and adjust policies in response to emerging threat patterns. The transition requires careful attention to micro-segmentation strategies that divide networks into isolated environments while maintaining application performance. Unlike traditional network segmentation, zero-trust micro-segmentation operates at the application and data levels, creating dynamic security boundaries that restrict lateral movement even when perimeter defenses are breached. Each segment enforces specific access controls based on the user context, device, compliance, status, and application requirements, ensuring that compromise in one area cannot cascade throughout the infrastructure. Employee training and change management represent equally important implementation component because zero trust fundamentally alters how users interact with corporate resources. Security teams must educate staff on new authentication workflows, access request procedures, and security awareness practices, while measuring success through metrics such as reduced standing access, improved grant utilization, and decreased security incidents. This human-centric approach ensures that technical controls align with operational realities and that user adoption remains high throughout the transformation process. Identity-based access controls. Identity-based access controls represent the cornerstone of modern SASE architectures, fundamentally transforming how organizations authenticate, authorize, and monitor user interactions with enterprise resources. Unlike traditional network models that grant broad access based on network location and identity-centric systems continuously evaluate multiple contextual factors to make granular access decisions for each user session. The authentication layer operates through sophisticated verification mechanisms that extend far beyond simple username-password combinations. Multi-factor authentication serves as the baseline requirement, but adaptive authentication technologies adjust security requirements dynamically based on contextual risk factors. This contextual evaluation considers user role, device posture, application sensitivity, geographic location, and established behavioral patterns to create a comprehensive risk profile for each access attempt. Role-based access mapping forms the foundation for policy enforcement, where administrators define precise entitlements that align with organizational hierarchies and functional requirements. These configurations involve mapping user groups to specific access profiles, assigning session lifetime parameters based on device trust levels, and implementing geographic restrictions on sensitive resources based on regulatory compliance needs. The challenge lies in enforcing least privilege principles while maintaining operational efficiency. Administrators must think contextually rather than assuming uniform access requirements across users with similar titles or departments. Just-in-time access provisioning represents a critical advancement in reducing standing privileges and limiting potential lateral movements during security incidents. This approach grants permissions only for specific tasks or predetermined time windows and automatically revokes access when conditions change or time limits expire. The system maintains detailed audit logs of all access grants and revocations, enabling forensic analysis and compliance reporting while reducing the administrative burden of manual privilege management. Continuous identity verification operates throughout user sessions rather than relying solely on initial authentication events. This approach monitors user behavior patterns, device compliance status, and application usage to detect anomalies that may indicate compromised credentials or unauthorized access attempts. When suspicious activities are detected, the system can automatically adjust access permissions, require re-authentication, or terminate sessions without disrupting legitimate user workflow. Integration of identity controls with broader SASE capabilities enables comprehensive policy enforcement across distributed environments. Identity verification engines map authenticated users to specific application entitlements while coordinating with threat protection systems to correlate user context with security events. This integration allows organizations to implement dynamic access policies that respond to changing threat conditions while maintaining consistent enforcement across hybrid cloud and edge deployments. Device trust evaluation adds another layer of contextual awareness to identity-based decisions, assessing the endpoint compliance status, security patch levels, and configuration drift before granting access to sensitive resources. SASE Security Framework. The SASE Security Framework represents a fundamental convergence of networking and security capabilities delivered through cloud-native services, effectively dissolving the traditional boundaries between the network infrastructure and security controls. At its core, SASE operates on 4 foundational pillars that distinguish it from other legacy security models. Identity verification ensures that access is limited to authenticated users and devices, and that verified identities are maintained through continuous validation processes. Cloud-native delivery provides automatic security updates and threat intelligence distribution through a globally distributed service model, enhancing overall protection without requiring on-premises infrastructure maintenance. Total edge support extends security controls across all physical, virtual, and logical network boundaries, accommodating hybrid cloud deployment and remote work scenarios. Worldwide distribution enables consistent policy enforcement for a globally distributed workforce while optimizing performance through proximity-based service delivery. The security stack of the framework operates through integrated layers that inspect and control traffic flows in real time. Microsoft's Global Secure Access exemplifies this approach by routing user traffic through edge networks, where TLS inspection, URL filtering, data loss prevention, and threat intelligence are applied simultaneously. This unified inspection eliminates the complexity of managing disparate security appliances while ensuring comprehensive coverage across internet-bound traffic and private application access. SASE's threat protection capabilities extend beyond traditional perimeter defenses through continuous risk assessment and adaptive controls. Flow Analytics leverages network detection and response capabilities to provide enterprise-wide visibility of traffic patterns, enabling forensic analysis and detection of lateral threat movements, even within encrypted communications. Data protection within the SASE framework operates through inline inspection capabilities that monitor the traversal of sensitive information across both internet-bound and private application traffic. Device trust verification methods Device trust verification within SASE architectures employs sophisticated multi-step assessment processes that continuously validate the endpoint security posture before granting access to corporate resources. Continuous authentication protocols within SASE frameworks represent a paradigm shift from traditional authenticate once, trust until logout models to dynamic verification systems that continuously evaluate user trustworthiness throughout active sessions. These protocols leverage behavioral analytics, contextual risk assessment, and adaptive security measures to maintain verification confidence without disrupting user productivity or creating authentication fatigue. The foundational mechanism operates through behavioral biometric analysis, which establishes unique user profiles based on typing patterns, mouse movement characteristics, and interaction rhythms with applications. These protocols continuously compare current session behaviors with established baselines and detect anomalies that might indicate account compromise or unauthorized access attempts. When behavioral deviations exceed predefined thresholds, the system can trigger step-up authentication requirements, temporarily restrict access permissions, or initiate session termination procedures without waiting for scheduled re-authentication intervals. Risk adaptive verification adjusts authentication strength requirements dynamically based on real-time context evaluation, which includes user location changes, unusual access patterns, device posture drift, and threat intelligence correlations. For instance, a user accessing sensitive financial applications from their typical corporate location during business hours maintains low-friction access, whereas the same user attempting access from an unfamiliar geographic region triggers enhanced verification protocols, including additional multi-factor authentication challenges or mandatory security question validation. Advanced implementations incorporate session confidence scoring, which maintains numerical risk assessments throughout user interactions and automatically adjusts access privileges as confidence levels fluctuate. This approach enables granular control, where users might retain access to low-sensitivity applications while being restricted from critical systems when their confidence scores drop below organizational thresholds. Scoring algorithms consider multiple variables, including time-based access patterns, application usage frequency, data sensitivity levels, and correlation with peer group behaviors to maintain accurate risk assessments. Contextual policy enforcement represents a sophisticated evolution beyond static authentication rules, in which protocols evaluate combinations of identity attributes, device characteristics, network conditions, and application requirements to make access decisions. Organizations can define policies that consider user role hierarchies, geographic restrictions based on data residency requirements, time-based access windows aligned with business operations, and device trust levels to create comprehensive authentication frameworks that can adapt to organizational needs. Integration with broader SASE capabilities enables cross-service authentication correlation, where verification events from one service inform authentication decisions across the security stack. When a user's email security gateway detects suspicious attachment interactions, it automatically influences the authentication requirements for other applications within the SASE framework, creating a coordinated response that strengthens the overall security posture without requiring manual intervention from the security teams. The evolution of passwordless authentication within continuous protocols leverages biometric verification, hardware security keys, and cryptographic certificates to eliminate password-related vulnerabilities while maintaining a seamless user experience. These implementations support progressive authentication, where users begin sessions with minimal verification and gradually gain access to more sensitive resources through the accumulation of trust indicators, including successful biometric validations, device compliance confirmations, and behavioral consistency measurements. The protocols accommodate multi-tenant environments through isolation mechanisms that prevent authentication events from one organization from affecting verification decisions for other tenants, while still enabling the sharing of threat intelligence that benefits the broader security ecosystem. This approach ensures that organizations maintain control over their authentication policies while benefiting from collective threat visibility, which enhances the detection capabilities across the SASE service delivery model. Multi-factor authentication mechanisms. Multi-factor authentication mechanisms within SASE environments operate through layered verification systems that combine multiple authentication factors to create robust security barriers against credential-based attacks. These mechanisms are fundamentally organized around three primary authentication categories: knowledge factors, something you know; possession factors, something you have; and inherence factors, something you are, with location-based verification emerging as the fourth critical component in zero trust architectures. Knowledge-based verification forms the baseline authentication layer through traditional password requirements, supplemented by security questions, PIN codes, and secret information that only legitimate users should possess. However, these methods face inherent vulnerabilities, including brute force attacks against 4-digit PIN combinations and social engineering techniques that can expose the personal history information used in security questions. Possession-based authentication leverages the physical and digital assets uniquely owned by authorized users, including mobile phones, hardware security tokens, display cards, and authenticator applications. SMS-based one-time passwords represent the most ubiquitous possession factor, sending a temporary code to registered mobile devices for session verification. Despite its widespread adoption due to convenience and the ubiquity of mobile phones, SMS authentication carries significant security risks, including message interception and SIM swap attacks, which can compromise account access. Authentication applications such as Google Authenticator, Authy, and TOTP generators provide more secure alternatives by generating time-sensitive tokens that refresh every few seconds and remain immune to network-based interception attacks. Hardware token implementations offer the highest security among possession-based factors, utilizing dedicated devices that generate cryptographic responses or connect directly to authentication systems, thereby eliminating digital transmission vulnerabilities. These tokens circumvent the risks associated with device theft or loss by maintaining isolated cryptographic functions that cannot be remotely compromised, making them particularly valuable for protecting high privileged administrative access and sensitive financial operations within SASE environments. Biometric verification systems utilize inherent user characteristics, including fingerprint scans, retina recognition, voice patterns, facial recognition, and behavioral biometrics, such as keystroke dynamics. These intrinsic factors provide strong authentication assurance because biological characteristics cannot be easily replicated or transferred from one individual to another. However, biometric implementations require careful consideration of privacy because organizations must securely collect, store, and protect biometric data alongside traditional password information. Advanced behavioral biometrics analyzes user interaction patterns to create unique digital fingerprints that can detect authentication anomalies without requiring explicit user action. Location-based authentication adds contextual verification by evaluating the user's geographic position and IP address information against predefined, allowed lists or established behavioral patterns. SASE architectures leverage location factors to implement risk-based authentication decisions, where users accessing resources from familiar corporate locations receive streamlined verification. One-time password mechanisms represent the most prevalent multi-factor implementation across SASE platforms, generating temporary codes through time-based TOTP or counter-based algorithms that provide session-specific verification. The integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies enables adaptive authentication protocols that dynamically adjust the multi-factor requirements based on real-time risk assessment. These systems analyze the user behavior patterns, device trust levels, application sensitivity, and threat intelligence to determine when additional authentication factors are necessary. Cross-factor authentication orchestration within SASE frameworks ensures that multiple verification methods work cohesively rather than creating isolated authentication silos. This approach enables progressive authentication, where users accumulate trust through successful factor validations, gradually gaining access to more sensitive resources as their authentication confidence increases throughout the session lifecycle. SD-WAN integration vulnerabilities. Software-defined wide area network and integration within SASE architectures introduces unique vulnerability vectors that stem from the convergence of network control, management, and data planes into unified cloud-delivered platforms. Unlike traditional network architectures in which these planes operate independently, SD-WAN implementations create interdependencies that can amplify security risks when vulnerabilities are exploited across multiple operational layers. The most critical vulnerability category involves compromise of the management plane through web-based interfaces that control network routing and policy enforcement. Research has identified systematic security weaknesses in SD-WAN web user interfaces, including insufficient authentication mechanisms, privilege escalation vulnerabilities, and inadequate access. These vulnerabilities are particularly dangerous because SD-WAN management interfaces typically control routing databases, forwarding information bases, and policy enforcement engines simultaneously. A successful SQL injection attack against a management database can enable attackers to modify routing tables, directly inject malicious routes, and redirect network traffic undetected. Control plane vulnerabilities emerge from shared database architectures common across SD-WAN implementations where routing information, user interface data, logging systems, and statistical data reside within the same SQL databases. This architectural decision creates attack surfaces where vulnerabilities in one service component can cascade across multiple operational planes. Multiple vulnerabilities have been documented in major SD-WAN platforms, including the Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN Manager, which has experienced issues allowing unauthorized access to affected instances and resulting in denial of service conditions. These vulnerabilities demonstrate how management plane weaknesses can compromise all SD-WAN deployments, particularly given that these systems control network connectivity across distributed enterprise environments. Cryptographic implementation weaknesses represent another significant vulnerability class, particularly in SD-WAN solutions that employ custom cryptographic protocols rather than standardized IPsec implementations. Many SD-WAN vendors utilize proprietary encryption methods that lack the extensive security validation associated with established protocols such as ESP and AH bundles. Hard-coded cryptographic materials pose severe security risks in SD-WAN environments. Research has identified instances where SD-WAN products employ identical pre-installed self-signed RSA certificates across all controller and orchestrator deployments, creating a universal vulnerability where the compromise of a single certificate compromises all installations using it. Orchestration interface vulnerabilities extend beyond traditional network security concerns to include risks associated with northbound and southbound API communications. These interfaces can be vulnerable to unauthorized access, exposure of sensitive information, eavesdropping attacks, and node spoofing vulnerabilities, thereby compromising the integrity of centralized network orchestration. Attack surface expansion occurs as SD-WAN implementations expose multiple network services and management interfaces that may not be accessible in traditional network architectures. TCP and UDP port exposure can enable data collection attacks where malicious actors exploit open ports to gather information about network topology, traffic patterns, and security configurations. The integration challenges are compounded by the lack of sufficient input validation and output escape mechanisms in web-based management interfaces, creating opportunities for cross-site scripting, injection attacks, and privilege escalation. Organizations must implement systematic security practices, including secure provisioning during the initial configuration, network service confinement and isolation, and embedded web application firewall mechanisms to protect management interfaces from these attack vectors. Denial of service vulnerabilities targeting SD-WAN infrastructure can disrupt network connectivity across the entire enterprise environment. These attacks may target management interfaces, control plane communications, or data plane forwarding capabilities, potentially isolating branch offices or disrupting cloud connectivity. The centralized nature of SD-WAN control creates single points of failure that can cascade across distributed network deployments when attacked successfully. Cloud security posture management within SASE environments addresses the critical challenge of maintaining consistent security configurations across distributed cloud infrastructure, where traditional perimeter-based controls cannot effectively govern dynamic workloads. CSPM solutions operate through automated configuration scanning, which identifies security misconfigurations, policy violations, and compliance deviations in real time. providing the continuous oversight necessary for hypervisor security in edge computing scenarios. The integration of CSPM capabilities into SASE frameworks enables unified policy enforcement across multi-cloud environments through centralized governance that extends beyond traditional network boundaries. These solutions automatically discover cloud resources, including virtual machines, containers, serverless functions, and storage systems, and apply consistent security policies regardless of the deployment, location, or cloud provider. Automated remediation capabilities represent a significant advancement in CSPM implementations, where the identified misconfigurations trigger immediate corrective actions without requiring manual intervention from security teams. These systems can automatically apply security patches, adjust firewall rules, enable encryption of storage resources, and modify access control policies when deviations from established baselines are detected. CSPM solutions offer compliance monitoring and reporting capabilities that continuously evaluate cloud configurations against regulatory frameworks, including SOX, PCI DSS, HIPAA, and industry-specific requirements. These capabilities generate automated compliance reports that demonstrate adherence to security standards while identifying the specific configuration changes needed to maintain regulatory compliance. Risk prioritization engines within CSPM platforms analyze configuration vulnerabilities based on potential impact and exploitability, enabling security teams to focus remediation efforts on the most critical issues. These systems correlate configuration weaknesses with threat intelligence feeds, asset criticality assessments, and network topology information to calculate risk scores that guide security decision-making. Advanced CSPM implementations incorporate infrastructure as code scanning, which evaluates security configurations before deployment and prevents misconfigurations from reaching the production environment. These capabilities scan Terraform templates, cloud formation scripts, and Kubernetes manifests to identify security violations during the development lifecycle, enabling DevSecOps practices that embed security controls into continuous integration and deployment pipelines. Integration with SASE threat protection systems enables a correlation between configuration vulnerabilities and active security events, providing a context that enhances incident response capabilities. When the CSPM identifies a misconfigured firewall rule, this information can be correlated with network traffic analysis from SASE security stacks to determine whether the vulnerability has been exploited that poses an immediate risk to organizational assets. This correlation enables proactive remediation before threat actors can weaponize vulnerabilities. Multi-cloud governance through CSPM platforms addresses the complexity of maintaining consistent security policies across different cloud providers within SASE deployment. The solutions provide normalized policy languages that translate organizational security requirements into provider-specific configurations, ensuring a consistent security posture regardless of whether workloads operate in AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or hybrid environments. This abstraction simplifies the security management while maintaining the granular control necessary for comprehensive cloud security. SASE Future Outlook Assessment. The transformation towards SASE architectures presents a complex landscape of opportunities and challenges that will fundamentally reshape enterprise security strategies in the years to come. Organizations implementing SASE frameworks are experiencing significant operational benefits, but must navigate substantial implementation complexities and emerging security risks that require careful consideration. The promise: transformational benefits. SASE offers compelling operational advantages that address the core challenges of modern distributed enterprises. The architecture's unified management capabilities eliminate the complexity of managing disparate security appliances across multiple locations, reducing administrative overhead by up to 60%, according to industry assessments. Organizations have reported improved network performance through intelligent routing, which optimizes traffic flows based on application requirements and real-time network conditions. This is particularly beneficial for supporting remote workforces and edge computing initiatives. The cost reduction potential proves substantial as organizations consolidate security functions into cloud-delivered services, eliminating hardware refresh cycles and reducing the specialized expertise required to maintain multiple security platforms. SASE's cloud-native delivery model provides automatic updates and threat intelligence distribution without requiring on-premises infrastructure maintenance, thereby significantly reducing the total cost of ownership. An enhanced security posture emerges through integrated threat protection that correlates security events across multiple service components, enabling more sophisticated attack detection and response capabilities than isolated security tools can achieve. The framework's identity-centric approach and continuous verification mechanisms provide superior protection against persistent, advanced threats and insider risks. The challenge: implementation complexity. Despite its compelling benefits, SASE implementation faces significant obstacles that can derail transformation initiatives. Organizational change management represents the most substantial challenge because SASE fundamentally alters how users interact with corporate resources, requiring extensive employee training on new authentication workflows and access procedures. Many organizations underestimate the cultural shift needed to move from traditional network trust models to continuous verification paradigms. Technical integration complexity creates substantial implementation hurdles, particularly for organizations with legacy infrastructure investments and complex application dependencies. The convergence of networking and security functions introduces new interdependencies that can amplify the impacts of vulnerability when not adequately managed. Organizations must carefully orchestrate migration to prevent service disruptions while maintaining security effectiveness throughout the transition period. Vendor lock-in concerns have emerged as organizations commit to comprehensive SASE platforms that integrate multiple security functions within single vendor ecosystems. This dependency can limit future flexibility and create negotiation challenges when organizations need to adapt their platforms or switch providers in response to evolving requirements. The integration benefits that make SASE attractive can simultaneously create strategic dependencies that constrain the long-term options. The reality: emerging security risks. SASE implementations introduce novel attack vectors that require specialized security expertise and monitoring capabilities. Centralized control plane vulnerabilities create single points of failure where successful attacks can cascade across distributed network deployments, potentially isolating branch offices or disrupting cloud connectivity organization-wide. The convergence of management, control, and data planes within unified platforms amplifies the impact of successful exploitation. Cryptographic implementation weaknesses in proprietary SD-WAN protocols present ongoing risks that cannot be discovered through standard security assessment processes. Organizations must implement comprehensive security validation programs to identify and mitigate specialized vulnerability classes. The future landscape: SASE adoption is expected to accelerate rapidly over the next 3 to 5 years as organizations recognize the operational benefits and cloud providers enhance the maturity of their platforms. Artificial intelligence integration will become the standard within SASE platforms, enabling more sophisticated behavioral analysis and automated threat response capabilities that reduce the burden on security teams while improving detection accuracy. Edge computing convergence will drive the evolution of SASE toward more distributed security enforcement points that can protect IoT devices and edge workloads without requiring traffic to be backhauled to centralized security stacks. This evolution will require organizations to develop new skills in distributed security management and edge-specific threat modeling. Regulatory compliance automation will emerge as a critical differentiator, with SASE platforms incorporating automated policy enforcement and reporting capabilities that address industry-specific requirements. Organizations in heavily regulated sectors increasingly rely on these capabilities to maintain compliance across dynamic and distributed environments. Successful organizations are those that approach SASE transformation systematically, investing in employee training, comprehensive security validation, and hybrid implementation strategies that preserve operational continuity while capturing the framework's transformational benefits. The potential of technology is substantial, but realizing these benefits requires acknowledging and preparing for the implementation complexities that inevitably accompany such fundamental architectural changes. Leading SASE market players. Several technology giants and specialized security vendors have emerged as dominant forces in the SASE market, each bringing distinct advantages that position them as leaders in this rapidly evolving space. Their success stems from the unique combinations of existing infrastructure, strategic acquisitions, and innovative approaches to converging networking and security capabilities. Cisco's comprehensive integration strategy. Cisco uses a holistic approach that leverages decades of networking expertise combined with strategic security acquisitions. The company's SASE architecture incorporates zero trust principles, extended detection and response, XDR, and threat intelligence technologies, creating a comprehensive solution that secures access to applications from any user, device, or location. Cisco's advantage lies in its mature SD-WAN platform and established enterprise relationships, enabling the seamless integration of security functions without disrupting the existing network infrastructure. Palo Alto Network Security First Approach. Palo Alto Networks distinguishes itself through security-centric SASE implementations that prioritize threat protection over networking convenience. Their cloud-native architecture unifies SD-WAN with advanced security functions, including next-generation firewalls, secure web gateways, and cloud access security brokers for cohesive service delivery. The company's strength lies in its sophisticated threat detection capabilities and deep security expertise, which effectively translate into cloud-delivered services, making them particularly attractive to security-conscious organizations. Microsoft's identity integration advantage. Microsoft leverages its dominant position in enterprise identity management through the Azure Active Directory to create compelling SASE offerings that integrate seamlessly with the existing Microsoft ecosystem deployments. Their global secure access exemplifies this approach by routing user traffic through edge networks where comprehensive security inspection occurs alongside native identity integration cited from context. Organizations already investing in Microsoft technologies benefit from streamlined implementation and unified management across identity, productivity, and security platforms. Fortinet's performance optimization focus. Fortinet differentiates itself through performance-optimized SASE platforms that maintain network efficiency while delivering comprehensive security capabilities. Their cloud-delivered framework converges networking and security functions with an emphasis on preserving application performance across distributed environments. The company's hardware-accelerated security processing expertise effectively translates into cloud-native implementations that can scale without performance degradation. Specialized innovators making impact. Netskope has gained significant market traction through its focus on cloud security expertise, particularly cloud access security broker capabilities that provide granular visibility and control over SaaS application usage. StrongDM approaches SASE through infrastructure access management, providing zero trust access to databases, servers, and other critical infrastructure components. Their specialized focus on privileged access management within SASE frameworks addresses the specific security requirements that broader platforms may not adequately cover. Success factors. Driving market leadership. Leading companies share several critical success factors that distinguish them from competitors. Existing infrastructure leverage allows established vendors to build upon proven networking or security capabilities rather than developing entirely new platforms. Strategic acquisition programs enable rapid capability expansion through targeted purchases of specialized security technologies and talent. Cloud-native development ensures that platforms can efficiently scale and integrate new capabilities without architectural constraints. Enterprise relationship strength is crucial for SASE success, as implementation typically requires extensive consultation, custom configuration, and ongoing support that favors vendors with established enterprise sales and support organizations. Partner ecosystem development enables comprehensive solution delivery through relationships with system integrators, managed service providers, and technology partners, thereby accelerating customer adoption. The competitive landscape continues to evolve as traditional networking vendors acquire security capabilities. In contrast, security specialists develop networking expertise, creating a dynamic market where leadership positions shift based on execution capability and market focus rather than just technological innovation. Cisco's comprehensive integration strategy. Cisco uses a holistic approach that leverages decades of networking expertise combined with strategic security acquisitions. Palo Alto Networks' security-first approach. Palo Alto Networks distinguishes itself through security-centric SASE implementations that prioritize threat protection over networking convenience. Microsoft's identity integration advantage. Microsoft leverages its dominant position in enterprise identity management through the Azure Active Directory to create compelling SASE offerings that integrate seamlessly with the existing Microsoft ecosystem deployments. Fortinet differentiates itself through performance-optimized SASE platforms that maintain network efficiency while delivering comprehensive security capabilities. Netskope has gained significant market traction through its focus on cloud security expertise, particularly cloud access security broker capabilities that provide granular visibility and control over SaaS application usage. StrongDM approaches SASE through infrastructure access management, providing zero trust access to databases, servers, and other critical infrastructure components. Their specialized focus on privileged access management within SASE frameworks addresses the specific security requirements that broader platforms may not adequately cover. Leading companies share several critical success factors that distinguish them from competitors. Existing infrastructure leverage allows established vendors to build upon proven networking or security capabilities rather than developing entirely new platforms. Strategic acquisition programs enable rapid capability expansion through targeted purchases of specialized security technologies and talent. Cloud-native development ensures that platforms can efficiently scale and integrate new capabilities without architectural constraints. Enterprise relationship strength is crucial for SASE success, as implementation typically requires extensive consultation, custom configuration, and ongoing support that favors vendors with established enterprise sales and support organizations. Partner ecosystem development enables comprehensive solution delivery through relationships with system integrators, managed service providers, and technology partners, thereby accelerating customer adoption. The competitive landscape continues to evolve as traditional networking vendors acquire security capabilities. In contrast, security specialists develop networking expertise, creating a dynamic market where leadership positions shift based on execution capability and market focus, rather than just technological innovation. Successful organizations are those that approach SASE transformation systematically, investing in employee training, comprehensive security validation, and hybrid implementation strategies that preserve operational continuity while capturing the framework's transformational benefits. The potential of technology is substantial, but realizing these benefits requires acknowledging and preparing for the implementation complexities that inevitably accompany such fundamental architectural changes. The transformation towards SASE architectures presents a complex landscape of opportunities and challenges that will fundamentally reshape enterprise security strategies in the years to come.